Today on the CFL Report, highlights of Week 2 in preseason action. The telethon that saves the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Leo Groenewegen, Ottawa's top pick and #1 overall.
Again, welcome to the CFL Report on TSN, our second edition of 1987. The new season, just 5 days away now. It's an anxious time for all, but particularly for newcomers who get their first shot at pro football. A couple of head coaches fall into that category this season, and many players. A closer look at one rookie coming up just a little bit later on. First, though, Peter Watts and Chapter 1 from the CFL Notebook.
Thank you, John. Dow's Lake here in Ottawa may seem like a strange place to be talking about the Canadian Football League, but I knew it would be a little warm in that studio, and it's such a nice day out here that I just couldn't help myself. It's a big week for Canadian pro football because all of the teams have to be down to their 34-man roster and 4-man reserve lists by 3 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. And there are some Canadian players who are playing very well through training camp and who have a chance to make the football teams across the country. For example, out in British Columbia, former UBC linebacking star Dwayne Durbin has had a good camp with the Lions and may be ready to catch a job as a backup on that great team. And Jamie Terrace, who spent a lot of his time working out as an offensive lineman at the University of Western Ontario, blocking for Blake Marshall, appears to have won a job at fullback in the BC Lions scheme of things and may get a chance to play some football now that John Henry White has to have arthroscopic surgery done on his knee. From Calgary comes word that first-round draft pick Rocco Romano is ready to help the Stampeders on the offensive line. But the surprise story of the Stampeder camp to date has been the performance of fullback Andy McVeigh of the University of Toronto. McVeigh had 42 yards rushing to lead all Calgary ground gainers in a losing effort in that exhibition loss to the Eskimos last week. Speaking of the Eskimos, where else would you find a team in the CFL with 5 Canadian running backs and no Americans? Chris Johnston, Milson Jones, and Chris Skinner, all back from last year. In addition, Blake Marshall of Western and Tony Spallettini from Calgary have had good training camps and will make Jackie Parker's job of picking running backs and leaving some out a very difficult job indeed. On the downside, in Edmonton comes word that safety Jeff Volpe, the former Guelph star, may be forced to retire because of a recurring neck problem. He first hurt the neck last year in a game, and he aggravated the condition last week against the Calgary Stampeders. In Saskatchewan, of course, the best news of all is that franchise is going to be around for a while. The people of Saskatchewan have come out strongly in support of the green and white. That will be one of the great sports stories in Canadian sport in 1987. The interesting story in Winnipeg is Vernon Paul, the last surviving member of football programming at the University of Prince Edward Island. Paul has been a linebacker for most of his 7-year career with the Bombers, but now in his 8th season he's being converted to fullback to help fill the gap left by the injury to Pat Cantler. And Paul actually caught a touchdown pass and blocked very well in an exhibition victory over the BC Lions last week. In the East, the news from Hamilton is that Al Bruno really likes his veterans and doesn't plan too many changes. But Al Bruno also likes his first-round draft pick from last February's CFL College Draft, that being Joe Germain, a wide receiver from Simon Fraser University, who appears to be ready to catch a job with the Ticats in CFL. In Toronto, the story has been a veteran. Wide receiver Dwight Edwards, who's bounced around the Canadian Football League for the last number of years, appears to have won a job at wide receiver for the Boatmen. He will be very much needed if the Argos are to do anything in the Eastern Conference this year. Ottawa still has some great Canadian talents in its training camp as well as the cut-down date approaches. Offensive tackle Leo Groenewegen has actually been moved into the guard spot. He's going to make this football team, and he's going to be a good player in the CFL for the number of years to come. But the interesting story has been Rick Wilkinsburg, a wide receiver from Western, as well as Tom Monroe, who played on the Vanier Cup champion team at UBC last year. Wilkinsburg in his first camp, Monroe is in his third. The first 2 years weren't very impressive, but he appears ready now to catch a starting job as a slot back with the Ottawa Roughriders. And in Montreal, the best news is that veteran tight end Nick Araki is back from that terrible neck injury that he suffered 1 year ago in the exhibition game in St. John, New Brunswick. He appears not to be showing any ill effects from the injury, and he will be a big, big plus in the Montreal scheme of things if he's able to play this year. The middle linebacking spot has been designated for a Canadian. There are 3 Canadian choices: Mark Hopkins, Matt Finley, and Dan Rasevich. Hopkins and Rasevich have been backups with a couple of different CFL clubs over the last 3 years. And for them, the time to play is now. They simply must prove that they're capable of being starters and playing well in the CFL. Finley, who comes from Eastern Michigan University but is a Canadian native, is an outstanding prospect, and the future for him looks very bright indeed in Montreal. I'm Peter Watts. That's CFL Notebook for this week.
Okay, Peter, the CFL Notebook, a new feature of the CFL Report every week on TSN. Up next, their last chance to shine. Highlights of final preseason games. Monday, Montreal at Ottawa, Saskatchewan at Calgary. Tuesday, Toronto played Hamilton and Edmonton at BC. We'll have all the big moments in just a moment. Welcome back to the CFL Report on TSN. A little later, the Rough Rider Telethon and the Leo Groenewegen story. Right now, it's highlight time. And first, back to Monday night, Saskatchewan at Calgary.
Stampeders held a slim 13-11 lead after 2 quarters and proceeded to blow the game wide open in the second half. Rick Warman passing 10 yards to Dwight Beverly. Calgary out in front 22-13. Warman's second touchdown comes on this nifty 83-yard pass and run to John Esteban. Stamps out on top 32-13 at that point. David McCrary staked a strong claim to the cornerback position vacated by Mel Jenkins. McCrary had 3 interceptions, including this one for a touchdown. Calgary down the Saskatchewan Roughriders 42-27. Both teams finished the preseason at 1-1. Now to the Alouettes and the Roughriders in Ottawa. First quarter, the Riders opened the scoring with an impressive 15-play, 95-yard march. The capper, a 16-yard run by Rider quarterback Todd Dillon. Ottawa leading 10-7 at the half. Brad Taylor put the Alouettes in front in the fourth quarter. A 13-yard strike to James Hood. His second touchdown catch of the game, 15-11 Montreal. But the Rough Riders weren't through. Gil Renfro marched them 85 yards in the final 2.5 minutes and put the icing on the cake with his toss to Rick Wilkinsburg. Ottawa pulled out an exciting 18-15 victory over Montreal.
Now to the Tuesday matchups. The Argos in Hamilton and Edmonton at BC. For the Lions, 2 games in 6 days, and after losing 35-14 to Winnipeg on Thursday, going in, it didn't look any easier against the Eskimos.
The Eskimos looking to continue that domination of the Lions. Chris Johnson 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. Edmonton out in front 7-0 first quarter. But the Lions kept it close. Greg Vavra threw 2 second-quarter touchdown passes. This one a 12-yard toss to Ned Armour. BC leading 14-7 at the intermission. The second half a showcase for the Lions running game, and in particular Anthony Parker. The 220-pound running back rambled 20 yards on this play to put the Lions up 21-7 in the third. On to the fourth quarter, Parker also hauled in a pass from Roy DeWalt. Covering 53 yards for the Major, the Lions on to topple the Eskimos 31-15. Both teams finish at 1-1 in the preseason. Now on to Ivor Wynne Stadium, Hamilton for the Argos and the Tiger Cats. The kickers accounting for all the scoring in the first half. Paul Osbaldiston a 47-yard field goal, and that cut the Argo lead to 4-3. Lance Chomick responded with his second of 3 field goals. This one a 23-yard effort as Toronto built up a 10-3 halftime advantage. The only touchdown of the game comes on this 20-yard pass from rookie John Kangemi to Jeff Smith. Hamilton came back with 4 field goals to make a game of it, but the Argos win out 17-15 over the Tiger Cats. Again, both teams at 1-1 in the preseason.
1-1, certainly an encouraging start for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Even more positive, though, is the provincial support drummed up during a 16-hour telethon over the weekend. The Riders have struggled in recent times, but they do lead the league in innovation. Saskatchewan's 16-hour ticket telethon is a perfect example of a new Rider pride.
The Rough Riders' cash shortage was severe. The solution, typically Saskatchewan.
You have found it, Rider Tickathon 87.
And to help out the Rider cause, a lot of old Prairie Soundbusters from earlier days came home.
From the Toronto Star, John Robertson. Another former Saskatchewan native, Johnny Esau. Dick Irvin. Wally Mott.
Saskatchewan came through again. The tiny Prairie franchise has defied long odds to survive in Canadian football. Again, the folks found another way. While it was mostly fun, it was serious business.
2, 3.
We had to save the franchise, number one. We had to get the recommitment from people, and this is what they're doing. Now we give Bill Baker and John Gregory a chance to build a football team and get us back to winning tradition.
Ron, there's nothing quite like Saskatchewan football, and I guess you have to come home every once in a while to find that out.
Well, you know, we said that the eyes of the CFL would be on Saskatchewan today. Well, you see what you got. The people have responded. They're unbelievable. And remember this, we weren't promoting the football team for 1987. We were promoting this football team to live to 1997, and the people of Saskatchewan have done it.
And while a lot of people who had roots in Saskatchewan came back to help out the Rough Riders in a trying time, the story of football in Saskatchewan is still the people, the fans of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. In a province of less than 1 million people, they've supported football for 77 years now, and it looks like the support is going to continue for a long time in spite of the tough times on the prairie.
You know, I never really realized I had heard about all the talk about the people in the province being affiliated with the football team, and I think this is just great, and we need more Bill Bakers in the league.
It's been a great time, hasn't it? I mean, this is a family reunion of all old Saskatchewan people. Yourself, you know, you name it. There's how many guys in town from all over Canada here as part of the Rough Rider family, part of the Saskatchewan family, putting this big event on. I think that's the biggest story of all, is everybody coming together. It's like a barn raising. It's a football raising. We're putting it together all together.
Sooner or later, they're going to look at the people of Saskatchewan and realize the job that they do and maybe copy some of the things that they do, because football will live here for a long time.
The Riders' Tickathon was a definite success. The final tally reads 77,295 tickets sold. That translates into more than $1.5 million for the Rough Riders. All in all, it's a testament to what those who took part in the Tickathon believed all along. Rider pride is alive and well in Saskatchewan.
The Saskatchewan success is indicative of a new energy in the Canadian Football League. Other teams have other ideas for '87. Coming up, TSN's Mark Jones with a look at marketing the CFL. Welcome back to the CFL Report on TSN. This Sunday, the regular season kicks off with Calgary at Saskatchewan. Still ahead, Leif Pedersen pays his weekly visit. And another weekly feature this season on the CFL Report, the TSN Canadian Player of the Week.
A tough choice this time around. Quarterback Greg Vavra of BC had a day, but so did rookie running back Andy McVeigh of the Stampeders. 6 carries, 75 yards, 4 catches, another 41, 116 yards in total.
Next week, we'll make our selection from the season opening game between Calgary and Saskatchewan. The theme across the league for 1987 is get the fans back in the ballpark. Several teams have come up with unique marketing approaches. Here's Mark Jones.
And there is an alternate.
This is what the Canadian Football League needs: packed stadiums. But this is the reality of the present: lots of empty seats.
This is a pivotal year for the league, and it all starts right here at the turnstiles. The good news is that the executives around the league are thinking about starting to put more people in the stands. They're not taking it lying down.
The Ottawa Rough Riders are taking a new approach that is typical of the new marketing era in the CFL. They're increasing fan involvement.
We get to talk to our fans at home 10 times. This is Riders Away, and it's not brand new. It's a copy of things that have been done out west with Bombers Away. It's a program that our season ticket holders and our Rooter members receive in their homes prior to each game. It gives them a lineup of both teams. It gives them the depth charts of both teams. It gives them 2 pages of valuable coupons. But it's an opportunity for us to reach our season ticket holders and our rooters on 20 occasions as opposed to 10.
If that isn't enough to get you interested in the Ottawa Rough Riders, maybe this is. It's an Ottawa calendar with the Rough Riderettes. You might want to go to Lansdowne Park to visit Leslie or one of the many other cheerleaders. In Winnipeg, they have an off-season basketball and football team that plays charity games, and it's raised over $100,000. Toronto Argonauts, well, they're busy too. They've hired a marketing firm to distribute 10,000 seasons tickets to every home game. In Edmonton, the key word is Eskimotion, and they've sold over 30,000 seasons tickets. So it's all part of an effort by the CFL and the teams to get a new generation of fans.
All across the Canadian Football League, we've got to look to the young people. We've got to get them excited about football, get them into the parks, seeing football, and really establishing the players in this game as heroes to the young market. They're our future. We've got a great base in Ottawa of loyal fans, many of them in their 40s, 50s, 60s. I've met a season ticket holder who's 80 years old. Where are they? Where are those people? Where are they now? And I don't know that we're attracting enough young people so that the next manager of the Ottawa Rough Riders can talk about the crowd that he's got that are 40 years old. We must attack the youth market.
Robson and the rest of the CFL brass have come to realize that marketing is something you do, not just talk about.
We're in the sports entertainment business. We're in the sports business, first of all, and our product is right out there on the field, and it's got to be good. There's no question about it. We can't sell a faulty product. I think we've gone a long way to making our product better on the field, and now we've got to put the fun and excitement surrounding that product into the ballpark so that fans will come out to the games.
Mark Jones for the CFL Report.
Some interesting new ideas for CFL 87. And one of the new faces you'll want to see, this year's #1 draft pick, Leo Groenewegen of Ottawa.
Perhaps the hardest part of the season is now over for Leo Groenewegen. Number 53 has spent the last 16 days in 2-a-day workouts, plus meetings, plus studying the playbook. Now, Groenewegen has made the roster of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and he can concentrate on fine-tuning his technique and enjoying the games.
You know, mentally it was tough. Physically, I knew what to expect, but mentally it was tough. And the people here, they're bigger, faster, stronger. So it's been an adjustment period, but things have been working out, so far so good. So just keep on working hard and hope for the best.
And away from the playing field, Groenewegen has found a home in Ottawa with the family of former UBC teammate Jordan Leith. Right now, he's sharing the house with Rider hopefuls Jerome Erdman and Glenn Steele. Phyllis and Bill Leith have been Rider fans for 20 years, and their perspective of the players is much different from that of most fans.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. He's like a big teddy bear. Kill me for saying that. But he's quiet, very unassuming, and a pleasure to have around. He really is. He helped me yesterday lift things without being asked. He knew I was out here working, and he came out to see if there was something that he could do, which is nice. I mean, it makes me feel like he feels as part of the house.
We certainly have a much closer feeling, I think, towards the football team, the fact that the boys are staying here. And we feel when they're hurting, we have the same hurt that they have.
Both the family and Groenewegen had the business of football brought home to them this week when Jordy, a defensive back, was cut loose by Montreal. And Groenewegen has also bid farewell to a couple of friends with the Riders.
When I came here with Ray Robertus, so it wasn't like I didn't know anybody, but Ray's here, and we met a couple of guys. One guy, Kerry Lindbergh from SFU, was here, and Angus Donnelly from Carleton was here. We got to know each other pretty well, but and things didn't work out, unfortunately, for Kerry and Angus. So, it's tough. It's like in college, you don't have this kind of situations, So, but I guess that's part of pro football. It's part of the game, and I guess you have to accept it.
What would you want people in this city to think about this football team, Leo?
I think it's a team that is going to have a lot of enthusiasm. I think it's going to be a team that's going to be working hard day in, day out. I think it'll be a team that'll be working for the playoffs. So a lot of enthusiasm, I think, and I'm expecting the team to do very well this year.
Leo Groenewegen, a young man who could make a big difference in Ottawa this season. Coming up on the CFL Report, Leif Pedersen and the season preview. Welcome back to the CFL Report on TSN. As always, Leif Pettersson joins me on this segment of the show as we look ahead to the week ahead. And in the week ahead, it's for real. Calgary, Saskatchewan kick off the '87 CFL season. Could be rather interesting based on last week's Stampeder victory over Saskatchewan.
Well, they're both 1-1 on preseason play, and I guess if you have to give the psychological edge to the Stampeders, they won that final preseason game, of course, over Saskatchewan. So maybe going into the opener, they have a bit of an edge.
Let's talk about strengths and weaknesses on these two football teams. Emotions, first of all.
Well, I think emotions are high for both teams. I mean, look what the province of Saskatchewan did to rally around their Rough Riders. They want to keep pro football in Saskatchewan, and I think that could reflect through to the football team, that they really want to prove to the fans that they've got a good product to come out and watch and make a run at the playoffs. As well, the Calgary Stampeders last year, their fans did just a super job to support Calgary football and keep it in the city. So I'm sure the players and the coaches want to show that last year was no fluke and perform possibly even better in 1987.
Offensive strength for the Calgary Stampeders, where is it?
Well, it's got to be at quarterback. Rick Johnson, anytime he's on the field, he can score a lot of points, and he's exciting, and he's the kind of guy that people can really relate to in Calgary. He's got the blonde hair, he's the California look, and so they want to come out and see him play, and he's a great, great player.
Offensive weakness.
Well, they lost Ray Alexander, so they have to replace him, and Ray Alexander just made some super catches in clutch situations for Rick Johnson last year. So when you lose him, you lose a lot, but they still have E.T., Emmanuel Tolbert, and Gary Allen. So although they've got some weakness in trying to replace one key player, I think the other guys will rally around that.
Defensive strength, is it up front for Calgary?
Oh, no question about it. Their front seven, 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers, put a heck of a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Harold Hallman, as a rookie last year, had a great year, and I see no reason why he shouldn't even have a better year this year.
So if there is a defensive weakness, then obviously in Calgary it's got to be back of the front seven, the secondary.
Well, it is, because they lost Mel Jenkins, and he was a tremendous cornerback. And Calgary, as I mentioned, does a lot of blitzing, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but then that means you lock up man-to-man in the secondary, and teams can hit some big plays against them, and it will happen this year. They'll have to live with that.
As for Saskatchewan, let's begin with offensive strength.
The backbone of their football club in the last 5 years has definitely been the offensive line. They like to call themselves the Hogs. They got Laurie Skullroot and Roger Aldag. Those guys have been around for more than 10 years each, and that's the backbone of their football club, and that's where all the moral support comes from, and that's their strength.
Offensive weakness then has to be behind the offensive line, and I suppose you have to wonder about newcomers at quarterback.
Yeah, newcomers. Jeff Bentram has shown some promise in the preseason. Tom Burgess is around now. Who knows what will happen at cutdown day? You know, they have to maybe make some changes. John Huffnagel's there, and if he's not the starter, at least you have the knowledge that he can come off the bench and do a fabulous job as he's done in Winnipeg for the last few years.
Defensive strength for the Rough Riders.
Well, I like their linebacking. Billy Jackson and Eddie Lowe, I mean, you don't have better ones. And, of course, that's the strength of the entire Canadian Football League, is that linebacking. Their front four, Nick Hebler, Rick Goltz, I mean, those are guys, proven veterans that can put pressure on the quarterback. So the real key for the Rough Riders on defense is to keep everybody healthy.
And is there a defensive weakness that's easily exploitable?
Well, I don't know if it's easily exploitable, but their secondary was not that strong last year, and I really don't see anything that has proven to me that they're better in '87.
All right, that'll kick it off, the 1987 CFL season, and it'll be Week 1, Saskatchewan Rough Riders, Calgary Stampeders. We will have highlights of that one for you next week on the CFL Report. That's it for this week. Join us again next week on the CFL Report. The season opener once more, Sunday, Calgary at Saskatchewan. Highlights of that one week from right now. And Leif and I will be at Exhibition Stadium, Toronto, Thursday, the 25th, as the Alouettes and the Argonauts begin their new season at 7:30 Eastern Time here on TSN. Join us again 1 week from now on the CFL Report.